Hello, my coven members and friends. Welcome to the Black Magic Cast, a place for witches, warlocks, and other curious creatures. I'm your host, Kimberly Black. And if you love magic, mystery, true stories of horror as much as I do, please like and subscribe. I'm here for you every moon's day, or Monday, as the mortals like to call it. So today, we're going to talk about something that we all have in our closet, or at least dabbled with once in middle school: the Ouija board. I've always been too scared to mess with them, but please let me know in the comments your experiences. Maybe you'll change my mind. But anyway, today we're talking about Robert Smite. Robert was born in 1973. He had a pretty normal childhood. He grew up in the suburb of Daytona, Ohio. His mother said he seemed like a normal boy. He was funny, everyone liked him, made good grades. He liked comic books and played football in high school. Robert's father was an accountant at a local agricultural company, pretty normal white picket fence family. Robert eventually started dating, got his first steady girlfriend. Her name was Shelley Pickens. Shelley came from a pretty rocky background, but still always managed to get good grades in school. People said she was shy, but really seemed to open up around Robert. They were seemingly always together. Robert's mom actually said she would have to make Shelley go home some nights, but after she realized what was going on in Shelley's home, she would let her spend the night sometimes as long as she stayed on the couch. She thought that they might even eventually get married. Things were going great until homecoming night of their senior year. The captain of Robert's football team, Evan, invited everyone over to his house for an after party. People had a few drinks, they were playing around by the poolside. Then Evan suggested they pull out a prank gift that his uncle had given him: a Ouija board. Everyone agreed. They were laughing, they lit some candles, people went around asking silly questions. Some people got back some answers that they were shocked by, but they brushed them off like someone was messing with them. They must have forgotten something they told someone else, right? Then it came around to Shelley. Shelley asked the Ouija board if she was going to get into Duke University. It said no. And then she asked it if she was going to get into State University. Again, no. And then she asked it if she was going to get into a college at all. No. She was a little disappointed but laughed it off because she thought everyone was messing with her. Then she asked the board, okay, well, if I'm not going to college, what am I going to do after high school? Maybe she thought it would say get married or have a baby. But the Blanchett slowly moved to D, and then to I, and finally E. The group felt a little quiet for a minute, but they all started laughing once again. Shelley looked a little hurt and wanted to leave, but Robert talked her into staying. Now, this is when it gets weird. Robert moved her out of the way and decided it was his turn. He was laughing like he was in on some joke. All of the friends reported that moment that Robert's hand touched the Blanchett, that all the blood seemed to run out of his face. He got really serious, like he was in a trance. They didn't think much of it because they thought maybe he was trying to play a prank on Shelley or something. In an almost hypnotic voice, he asked the board, what do you want me to do? Some of the people said that the Blanchett started to move a little differently and went straight to the letters Kill. Robert mumbled kill to himself, then asked who. The Blanchett then spelled out the name of one of the people sitting at the table. None other than Shelley. Shelley told him, that's not funny, stop. But he went and stopped staring at the board. He then whispered, how? The Blanchett moved from the letter to spell out knife. Shelley, I guess, got kind of shoved him and stormed off, and all the boys started laughing at how mad she had gotten, they shook Robert by the shoulders and in a sort of playing way. Evan said he let out a kind of evil smirk before letting go of the planchette. They had a couple more beers before calling it a night. Everyone said that Robert seemed kind of out of it, but they didn't think much of it because he and Shelley had just gotten into a fight, and they thought he was upset about that. Robert leaves to go home. They expect him to be made up the next day. Well, cut to the next morning, Robert's mom wakes up. She goes to Robert's room to get him up for practice. He isn't there. She gets mad because she thinks he must be downstairs with Shelley, and she had expressly laid out rules about that. She calls his name, no response. She heads down to the living room. She calls out Shelley's name from the stairs, still no response. So she walks in expecting to find them asleep, only to find a trail of blood leading to the couch. On the couch is Shelley's body covered in blood. She had been stabbed over 30 times. She had obviously tried to defend herself because parts of her hand were cut down to the bone. The knife was sticking out of one of her eye sockets. I've Googled the images and I really wouldn't suggest it unless you aren't squeamish. Really disturbing. Robert's mom freaks out. She calls the cops. She thinks that he may be in danger too. She carries the phone around as far as the cord will allow, just asking for help as soon as possible. She frantically calls out Robert's name. Then she spots him through the screen door on the front porch. She lets the 911 operator know, drops the phone, and races over to him. He has blood all over him that she thinks might be his, but he isn't injured. He's just sitting slumped over the porch with his hands facing up, covered in blood. She said he was in almost a trance like state. She tried to ask him what happened, but he mumbled a few words and then just started crying. He claims to have no memory of what happened. The police show up, arrest him. He was found guilty, but still claims to this day to have no memory of killing Shelley. Turns out that a friend of Evan's uncle, who gave him the board, also killed his wife shortly after playing with it. Coincidence or haunting? Is Robert an innocent victim of a cursed object, or was there a monster lurking within no one seemed to see? Please let me know what you think in the comments. I love reading them. And please join me next week for another dark tale. Love you. Bye.